Hey everyone, welcome to episode number 5 of the Recruitment Intelligence Show. My name's Robert Gillespie, and in this episode I sit down with our CEO Gavin to look at a recent Forbes article where 20 recruiters shared the 9 most common mistakes candidates are making when applying for jobs during this pandemic. And we also have a look at how to actually avoid those mistakes. Hope you enjoy the episode. So Gavin, I don't know if it was yourself or one of my colleagues or one of our colleagues who actually shared this article with me. It was from Forbes. I think it was written early in May, but it was all about, it was from 20 recruiters who were actually sharing, or basically 20 recruiters were screening and hiring candidates over the last few months during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And what they shared were the 9 common mistakes job seekers are making amid the coronavirus. And basically the article, just to set the scene for everyone who's listening or watching, was that clearly they were setting the scene that there's been a significant impact on people's lives right now and careers, with things like temporary furlough, job offers being pulled or hiring freezes. I mean, clearly there's been inevitable layoffs, and the article just goes on to talk about this massive upheaval, clearly, over the last few months. But on the flip side, because of all these layoffs, people are trying to apply for jobs during probably one of the most difficult times you can imagine right now. And it's going to be tough for a lot of people to adapt. Is really what the article's trying to say. It does try to shine some positive light, saying things like e-commerce, delivery, cybersecurity kind of industries are actually growing rapidly. So there is hope there. But if you are one of the people who are trying to find a job at this time, clearly it's a big challenge. And this article was really just trying to shine a light on the common mistakes which are happening and clearly how to avoid them. So I'm going to share them with you. I know you've had a chance to look at this, but here's the 9 common mistakes in this article. So I thought it was pretty good. So the first one was, and I'm just reading off the article here, was using the same old outreach tactics. In other words, you're not standing out, because the article tries to point out, or the recruiters who were surveyed in this article were saying that people are just sending in CVs and covering letters and hoping that the old way still works. I mean, what's your thoughts?
I mean, I think not standing out is an important point. I mean, if you even take a step back, you know, in our team, you know, we're looking at different ways where our sales team can engage with clients, where our delivery team can engage with candidates, really just to stand out and offer, you know, something different right now. So over the last couple of months, we've looked at, you know, various different initiatives that are really just trying to drive engagement. I think bringing it to the article and from a candidate point of view, right now, even though people are working remotely and, you know, whether they're not in offices, etc., everyone I spoke to said, I feel busier now than I've ever felt. And as a result, you know, people are probably less interested in just receiving, you know, yet another CV, yet another resume, etc. So for me, I think the point is absolutely valid. I mean, I think the obvious, you know, solution is, you know, video. You know, again, you know, video is getting pushed hard on, you know, a way of, you know, an individual just looking different and standing out. But there's also the whole kind of video CV as well. I mean, rather than just saying, you know, hi, I'm Gavin, here's what I'm looking to do in terms of my next job, is actually converting the CV into some kind of more digital, you know, look and feel as well. But for me, definitely standing out is key, you know, and making it as personalised as possible. One of the things we've got had a lot of success in the last couple of months is just personalisation. So something that you picked up on, you know, a hiring manager or a prospect's LinkedIn profile, they like, you know, a certain sport or a certain activity, it's just referring to that and just trying to get some kind of human link, because right now, as I said, when everyone's remote, sometimes that human piece is slightly lost, and I think, you know, trying something different is absolutely key.
Yep, no, couldn't agree more. Number 2 links in slightly actually to the first one, and we touched on video, but a common mistake they're saying is video conferencing struggles. I suppose from my own point of view, and we've read enough articles on this, and we've used this phrase, the new norm, for a while now, but working from home has been the new norm, and even me and you or our team are catching up with people. We're on video maybe 3 or 4 times a day, so it's becoming the norm. An interesting stat in the article mentioned 89% of employers are adapting virtual video interviews via Zoom during that, which I don't know if I'm surprised or not. I think it sounds right, but I think the common mistake was that candidates hadn't been embracing video. They were struggling showing enthusiasm via video. I mean, I suppose it's maybe not a question, but you can agree with that one.
Yep, no, I mean, so now I need to appear more enthusiastic here since you've said that. But I think I put a post out maybe 3 months ago, really at the start of the lockdown, around some observations in video. I mean, people talking over each other, people coming on late, people not being able to work their camera, all that kind of stuff. And I think that applies to candidates for sure. I think the other thing I've seen recently is video meetings are lasting for a less amount of time, they're shorter. And therefore, from a candidate point of view, it's about how do you make an impact on video in a shorter period of time? Because we're certainly finding there's less kind of just chit chat, and it's more let's have a call, let's move on to the next one. And I think there is the kind of standard things like appearance, eye contact, smiling, all that stuff, because ultimately it's still an interview, and you just need to make sure that, whilst the candidate's sitting home and the hiring manager's sitting at home, that they're not too relaxed into forgetting it's not that kind of interview environment. I think, out with this pandemic, video is going to become even bigger than it was before. I mean, we're now seeing discussions that we would have had to go to another country to have that we're just doing in video, and that would just become the way forward. And I think from a candidate point of view, any candidate that's looking for a job and not comfortable in video really needs to fix that pretty quick, because I do think it's going to become the norm.
Agree again. Number 3, or mistake number 3, was candidates applying everywhere. Now, whether that's, they try to point out in the article, it's more about from a candidate's value, maybe like being aware of applying to every role under the sun, because you just don't know sometimes at the other end who's receiving these CVs, maybe from the same agency or whatever, and you're just looking as if you're scattergun approach and you're just attaching your PDF to everything. I mean, that is a problem, I'm assuming.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, I talked again a couple of weeks ago about active candidates becoming more active. There's clearly, when someone's looking for a job and in the current environment, 9 times out of 10, they're panicking a little bit to say, how long is it going to take me to find something else? And that's totally understandable. But my view is that if you were a top performer before COVID, you can be a top performer after COVID, and don't undervalue yourself. Don't get to the point where you are, applying for jobs that's not your function, without, any experience that you relevant experience, etc. Almost try and take the time to network with people that could, bring you opportunities in the future, and really make sure that your targeting is correct. And it's, as you said, Robert, it's not scattergun, because people can see that. You know yourself that when you're feeling desperate, you usually act desperate, and it's really important to kind of get that balance of, yes, ultimately finding a new job, but making sure you're doing some kind of level of targeting. I think it also said, if I remember in the article, about quality of application versus quantity of application, and making sure that the video, the cover letter, the CV, whatever it may be, is personalised to to the particular role that you're applying for.
No, I mean, I guess ultimately it's about getting the right balance, isn't it, between creating more opportunities for yourself, but ultimately make sure they're the right opportunities. You're not.
But you can also, I mean, you know better than I do, you can create opportunities through the content you put out, through the interesting interaction you have with people. So it's not necessarily about, I'm going to create an opportunity by applying for company X. It might be, I'm going to create an opportunity by engaging with relevant people at that company, putting some interesting content to them that allows them to have an interaction with me.
That makes sense. Mistake number 4 then, unrealistic salary expectations. And again, the article talks about it's nice to aim high. We all like to aim high, I'm sure, but they're saying that might not be the right approach to take at the moment right now with hiring managers. In other words, don't price yourself out of roles. What do you think of that one?
I think there's a balance. I mean, I think the opposite is also true. If you were on X and now you're saying to people, I'm willing to take half of X, people are going to start questioning, how much do you value yourself? My view is that if you're doing a role on X and you accept a role on half of that, it's probably not going to be a challenging enough role to keep you there long term either. So I think the point is valid. I mean, if you look at it, I would say 9 out of 10 companies are either have made cuts, are thinking about cuts, or are looking at future kind of cost restraints, and hiring being one of them. You may also be speaking to a hiring manager that's taken a pay cut, that's not been paid bonus, etc., etc. So I think it's important to almost understand who you're interacting with. I think right now is not the time to be saying, I was on X and I want a 20% increase. I mean, I think if we go back to our kind of 6 Fs, we talk about what's important to a candidate: fit, freedom, fun, future, fortune, and family. The monetary element is only one part of it. So if I was a candidate looking for a job just now, I would be saying, yeah, I want to get a job that gives me enough income, but it's not a job that I just need to be in for a few months, because I think moving again, in future post-COVID is also going to be quite challenging. So for me, don't aim too low, i.e. the job is just not satisfying enough for you. But certainly right now, don't aim too high, because your internal audience might just see that as a complete disconnect in terms of what's going on.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people myself over the years, and as you said, if someone came in and they were dropping their salary for odd reasons, I would be more concerned that, well, once maybe in 6 months, 7 months time, they're more likely just to jump ship again, or if they see, because they know themselves that's not a realistic salary or what their standard of living has been, etc. And as soon as the world gets better again, 6, 7 months time, they'll be in a higher bracket anyway, I would imagine, of risk in terms of leaving, or that would be my
Yeah, absolutely.
So mistake number 5, lack of empathy. So this one they were referring to more about when you're going for an interview, just being empathetic to how the company that you're actually interviewing for, what's happened to them during the last 3 months, or whether it's roles that the company's had to lay off people, etc. So it's almost make sure that all the stuff we spoke about, but they're being empathetic as well to actually the situation that company is in, being sensitive, again, just showing that they've been paying attention to what that company, it's common sense for an interview, you should be doing your interview preparation, but just showing you paid attention to the situation that company's involved with. What do you think?
And I think this is quite an important one, and it kind of ties into a few of the other ones, but I almost hope to see one of the mistakes being preparation, because for me, getting the right preparation for an interview is absolutely key, and that is, understanding who you're speaking to, understanding the organisation, what's going on in their world. And I guess this ties into the kind of lack of empathy. The obvious ones is, how's their share price, what have they done in terms of layoffs, are there any articles about, what's going on in their business, and really, being able to get to a level with someone and actually saying, I'm aware of this, it must have been tough, rather than just saying, kind of, what's in it for me. I think going back to my point earlier, when candidates are sometimes desperate, they do quickly take the what's in it for me approach. And I think that really makes the candidate look very short term in their thinking. So, we've seen it, from our point of view, someone saying, I urgently need you to reply to this email or whatever it may be, when they don't know what's going on in someone else's world. So I think, there's also the other one where you've got, people who are going over the top on the, isn't this an unprecedented situation and crazy times, and I hope your family's well, when they might not even know their family. So there's a balance, and I think you need to get that balance of being empathetic, but ultimately, as a candidate who's out of a job, they're still there to sell their self as an individual to that client. So I think it's a balance, but I think do your research, know who you're speaking to, try and work out what's happening in their organisation. Don't go in too heavy too soon, and try and build that relationship, early on in the interaction.
Number 6, I'm going to read my notes for this one because I actually found this one very interesting. It was classed as inflexibility. So they're trying to point out it's an employer's market right now. But many candidates are refusing to flex on the requirements. And what they were trying to point out was, and again, just reading my notes, was that now you need to be a bit more flexible, whether that's on start dates, whether maybe you start part-time to start with for a little bit, whether it's location or location working from home. Maybe one that's it's a funny one was about you're not going to get any benefits until we're up and running full-time back to normal. Just so people being adaptable in terms of inflexibility, maybe they should be a wee bit more adaptable right now. Again, what's your thoughts?
Again, I think you're looking at, and I don't mean to be kind of unfair to one side here, but I think you're looking at two different sides here. I think you're looking at active candidates and passive candidates, and I think that an active candidate who's out of work and who is keen to get the next role, I'd be struggling to understand kind of inflexibility from their point of view, i.e. I can't make this Zoom call, or I'm not available to start on this day, or I don't want to to go through 4 interviews to speak to all the relevant people. So I think that's, I'd be surprised. I don't think companies should take advantage of people in that situation and put them through, make them jump through so many hoops that they feel used by the interview process. But then on the other side, the passive candidates who, maybe being treated well by their organisation just now, maybe a top performer, and are probably more nervous out of COVID to say, actually, I don't know if I want to make a move now. So I think one of the challenges recruiters have got is, how do we now genuinely attract passive top talent from company X into our client's organisation? And I think recruiters also need to look at a different approach, because I think gone in the days of, I've got a job, are you interested, let's keep talking. I think people will be more reserved and and maybe, you know, perceived more inflexible, but only that's really only just so they can really evaluate, you know, am I moving out of the frying pan into the fire, or should I be staying where I am? So my point would be, you know, active candidates, unless they're getting asked to do ridiculous things and a tremendous amount of interviews or things that they didn't have to do before COVID, I would expect them certainly to be more flexible, you know, than passive candidates.
Great points. Number 7, again, I can probably say this from both sides as well. They're being impatient. Candidates are being impatient right now. Clearly, with the scenario that they might be in, I hate to use the word desperate, but they might be desperate for a new job because of whatever's happened to them. But the article's trying to, or the recruiters again who were featured in this article, referenced that candidates are becoming very kind of pushy and needy. They're chasing up the hiring manager, they're chasing up HR. Some angle from me, I could see why that's slightly natural and they're just showing some level of interest. But again, I guess it's about getting that balance right.
I mean, I think there's a level of interest, then there's becoming a pain, you know, and you need to again find balance, because if you become a pain too soon, it's more than likely the client's going to just marginally disengage from you, you know, in terms of the organisation that you're going to join. I mean, one of my questions is, so we'll get candidates who we work with and they'll say, I'm not heard back from this, can you chase this, can you chase that? And that's our role, you know, we need to keep the process moving. But a good question to ask a candidate looking for a job is, you know, did you give, when you were hiring, did you give feedback as quickly as you're looking to expect feedback? You know, because 9 times out of 10, it's not the case. You know, and as a hiring manager, you're caught up in a lot of different things, and at a point in time, you know, giving Gavin the candidate feedback isn't necessarily the top thing that's on their mind. So again, it's back to relationships. I mean, you know yourself, you start to disengage with people that are just too intense, too pushy, too in your face. But equally, candidates want to keep things moving. But there's different ways of keeping things moving. There's liking something in LinkedIn, there's making a comment, there's making references to something that you've picked up in that hiring manager's life that actually makes them interact with you about something else, which in turn allows you to say, oh, by the way, where am I getting feedback on the next step? So I think my view is, don't go in too one-dimensional. Don't just chase the feedback. Try and grow the relationship at the same time as you're chasing the feedback.
Great points on LinkedIn. So second last one, number 8, is headed jumping at anything. It's a bit similar, I think, to the one about being desperate earlier on, sending your CV into everything. But I think this is more around if you were made an offer. I think that's maybe what they're coming across as, but almost that, maybe even the beginning of an interview, but the first early stages of an interview, maybe when people are asking, oh, why you're here, or don't talk about how desperate you are in the first few minutes of the interview. It's almost that, don't show you're desperate in the early stages. As you said, it's probably going back to a similar point earlier about knowing your value and your self-worth. I'm assuming that's what you'd agree on that one.
I mean, so jumping at anything, it does relate back to, you know, don't go for too many things and don't do the kind of scattergun approach. I think the other key thing is, you know, that right now, clients, organisations hiring have probably got a higher bar in terms of what they're expecting than they did 3 months ago. You know, hiring will become more scrutinised, costs will become more scrutinised, making the right hire will become more scrutinised. So, you know, in turn, the candidate can't do anything silly. So what I mean by that is, if the candidate is out there actively applying for different things and they refer to, and I've seen it, they refer to another organisation they've approached 10 minutes ago, now in the application for a different organisation, if there's spelling mistakes, if they've not researched it well enough, if they have not kind of articulated to that organisation, why am I right and why am I interested? If they're coming across as just well, of course I'm interested, I'm out of job, that ain't going to go anywhere, you know. And I think jumping at anything for me is 2 things: is making sure that you don't just miss the basics, you know, and don't, from a candidate point of view, don't kind of cross all the T's and dot the I's and show yourself in the best light. But also, when you get to that offer, don't jump at everything. You know, make sure that, back to the self-worth, make sure that you're not just accepting something too low, which in turn means you're going to be looking in 6 months' time. So I think that's, for me, you know, what that kind of summarised to be.
Yeah, no, I think you said the word there, back to basics. It's almost like act as normal. I mean, you should be getting there showing your value, what you can do for the company, your experience, your skills, what you can bring to the company, and showing your self-worth, isn't it? I mean, that's...
Absolutely. Yep.
So number 9, last one, was, well, it's classed as waiting until the crisis passes almost. It's that kind of, should candidates become more passive? And I know we've spoke about this a few times now, but is that the right approach? I mean, should candidates hold fire? I mean, what do you think?
Again, it depends where they're at. I mean, if you've lost your job, I would be surprised if you're going to take the approach of let's wait until the pandemic's over. Don't get me wrong, we spoke to some candidates that say almost the reverse, have been impatient. We spoke to some candidates that say, I'm going to just hold off because I presume hiring, is not top their priority right now. I would challenge that as well. I mean, I think for me, candidates who are engaged in getting an opportunity, are proactively trying things, are optimistic about the future, tend to get better opportunities. And it's almost that whole behaviour breeds behaviour. So if I was a candidate just now, looking for a new role, I wouldn't take the impatient apply for everything, nor would I take the I'm just going to sit and hope that something comes to me in 3 months' time. I think there needs to be a kind of strategy around what they're looking for, and I think they need to really take. Let's say they've been let go from an organisation. Really take a bit of time to say, what do they like about that role? Where are my skills? Where do I want to go? Therefore, what is the right types of opportunities going forward? And I think now, with everything that's available technology-wise, it's a lot easier to research organisations, to look at competitors, to look at different sectors, and almost map out, where do I want to be as a candidate in the next 6 months? And if you were doing this as a kind of project as part of your role, you would say, okay, what are the milestones I want to achieve over the next 2-3 months? And I think candidates actively looking for a role need to do something similar. They need to say, right, okay, I'm here just now, I'm unemployed, I want to be employed in 4 months' time. What are the key stages of getting there? Building your own network, getting engagement, getting awareness, creating some thought leadership about the role that you did in the past, etc., etc. So I think there's a lot more that candidates can do than just keep applying and hoping that the right role comes.
Yeah, I mean, I think in summary then, from all of those points, it's more around, and I get there's a situation where maybe it is a difficult situation for the candidates themselves, but I think it is good. It's as much as possible trying to go back to basics, isn't it? About staying positive, applying for the roles where you can add value to the company, and then when you do turn up, you're not showing desperation. You know your self-worth. You know what you can bring to the company, and I suppose you could bracket that as sticking to the basics as much as possible under the current circumstances.
The other thing that I've suggested to a few candidates recently is, taking video, right? And people buy from people. So if I'm interviewing Robert, and Robert says, here's 2 video testimonials of people that I used to work with speaking about me, what I achieved. That's that. You stand out by doing that, right? So rather than just saying, hi, I'm Robert and I'm good at X, actually hearing other people tell you about the candidate that you've met is quite powerful. So again, it's back to candidates, just being a wee bit creative and saying, rather than going to a previous company saying, can you write me a 2-page, reference or testimonial? No, do me a 40-second video on why I was a great hire for you previously.
Great idea. Yeah. And go back to, as you said, the people you'll ask will probably be more familiar with video now themselves, so they've used it.
And also they're familiar with you as an individual, so they're speaking, just easy about, about what you did and what you achieved.
Great. Well, that was the 9 we covered, so appreciate your time, Gavin, as always.
Good all. Super. Good to speak to you.
Have a good day.
Thanks, Robert.
Bye-bye.